going on, guys? It is the Anime Jaguar here, or you can call me AJ for short if that is a tongueful for you. And today, we're going to rank the Bronze Age, which is from 1970 to 1988. And a lot of people consider it one of the weakest Disney animation eras, and I have to agree. It may not be the weakest, but it's definitely one of the weakest. There were a few underrated, appreciated films in this era, but there are also a couple of bad ones, I hate to say it. So we're going to bring back the good, the bad, and the ugly, but there are no ugly ones locally for us in this ranking, but there are a couple bad ones, so let's just get into it. But before that, there's a playlist of all the Disney eras that I've ranked already. It'll either be up here or in the link in the description below if you want to check those out, if you want to know what I thought of other Disney eras. So let's just get into it right now. Number 8. The Black Cauldron. This is certainly one of the weakest Disney animated films. The Black Cauldron may have some good animation and an underappreciated antagonist, but it's not enough to prevent it from being an uninteresting movie with a tedious story and superficial characters that hardly do anything to make people care for them. If you are a Disney or animation fan, you need to see it at least once just to say you have watched it. Don't set your expectations high for this feature like you would do for most Disney movies. You can think what you want, but this is the weakest film in the Bronze Age in my eyes. Number 7. Oliver and Company. It's not easy to talk about Oliver and Company without mentioning another animated feature that was released the same weekend. I'm talking about The Land Before Time. The Land Before Time felt more like a Disney movie than Oliver and Company. This is a shockingly unmemorable film. I forgot about most of the characters, and the songs aren't anything special except for Why Should I Worry. It felt odd to have Disney do an adaptation of Oliver. This is not the worst animated Disney movie, but it's strange that a non-Disney feature that was released the same weekend had a superior Disney-esque film. If you are an animal person, you may like it, but if not, I wouldn't recommend it. This was the last Disney movie before The Little Mermaid. Number 6. Robin Hood. How many of us have been introduced to Robin Hood through this movie? I could definitely say I was, and it's intriguing because this was the first Disney feature to have an all anamorphic life forms. Other Disney films have used them, but this was the first to have a full cast of half human and animal. Having Robin Hood as a fox is a smart plan, while Little John is a huge bear, which is clever. The other characters are enhanced by some inventive jokes. In general, Robin Hood is a solid action-packed movie for children, but it's nothing special. There isn't anything that is spectacular, but it keeps your attention. It can be slow at times, but it's enjoyable when it isn't. Young children will adore it, and some other people might actually like it themselves. Number 5. ARISTOCATS. Like most features on this list, there's nothing awful about it, but there isn't anything striking about it. This feels like a movie that is cutesy just for the sake of being cutesy. The plot is about a butler who finds out that he's going to inherit several cats, but he actually despises cats due to his allergies. He attempts to get rid of them by throwing them off a bridge. The cats find a way out, and they find other cats to hang out with, and that's it. This was the last Disney animated film that Walt Disney approved of. This was the second straight Disney movie to have Phil Harris in a leading role, and his streak would continue in Robin Hood, and almost continued in Rescuers as well, but they canceled that. You can definitely tell a difference between the scenes that had Walt's assistance and the scenes that didn't. The characters are amusing for the most part. The jazz soundtrack is the most memorable thing about this feature. I'll cut some slack on the animation due to the film's low budget. Number 4. The Fox and the Hound. The Fox and the Hound is another Disney film that has too many cutesy scenes, but at least uses it to its advantage. The feature is about a small fox who loses his mom and gets taken up by an elderly woman. She sadly has a neighbor that is a hunter who owns 2 dogs. One is a puppy who attempts to learn how to hunt, but the fox and the hound somehow find a way to get along. Their relationship improves with time, even though they are supposed to hate each other. This is a compelling Disney film. The important scene after the climax is a solid payoff. I found myself getting to this movie even when the cutesy scenes are too long. I wish this was less cutesy, but the final product is solid. The songs and supporting characters are forgettable, but the bond between the fox and the hound holds up. The setup for this story was interesting, but it could have been better. Even with some of the flaws, I still recommend this feature. Number 3. The Rescuers. This is the third straight movie that is too cutesy. It's about a young girl who's being held by this menacing lady who wants her to go inside this mine to get this precious diamond. It turns out that there's a group of mice called the Rescue Aid Society that go in and try to help people in sticky situations. This is an inventive idea, but I don't know how mice can save several people. But that's the point of the feature. 2 mice named Bernard and Miss Bianca go to save her while meeting some other characters along the way. The villain is great. She's a maniac who has some comical reactions. She has a henchman who has some clever parts occasionally. The most amusing characters are the 2 alligators. The movie's clarity somehow manages to work to its advantage. This film has the best action/adventure scenes from the Dark Age. The 9 Old Men stepped up big time for this feature. The 9 Old Men saves this film from being a catastrophe. There are better Disney movies, but this is still worth a watch. Number 2. The Great Mouse Detective. A film adaptation of Basil of Baker Street was something Disney considered for a while. When this was released in 1986, it was a gradual turning point that would eventually lead into the Disney Renaissance. The Great Mouse Detective ended up saving Disney animation. The feature is about a young lady attempting to get her dad back. She encounters a mouse named Dawson, and they both meet a mouse named Basil of Baker Street. They're off to look for the child's father and the antagonist of this film, Ratigan. The climax is the biggest highlight for me. People usually don't talk about this feature, but this is a hidden gem. This is one of the few Disney movies that wants to solely have joy in its interesting universe without trying to be groundbreaking. This worked out effectively thanks to its charming plot, beautiful animation, great voice acting, and unappreciated characters. I suggest this feature as a fast and entertaining watch if you're in the mood for an adventure. You must watch it if you're a detective or Sherlock Holmes fan. Number 1. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Who doesn't adore Winnie the Pooh? He's one of the most naive characters in film history. I know people who hate Mickey Mouse, but I can't name a single person that despises Winnie the Pooh. What makes Pooh charming? That's what I was asking myself while I was writing the script for this movie. My explanation is that he's a cheerful person that messes up in life while being innocent and enjoyable. This alone makes him more fascinating than Mickey Mouse. This is the movie that started off for Pooh. Almost all of these characters are well known. I don't think I even have to introduce them, but I'll just name a few characters anyway. Christopher Robin, Piglet, Eeyore, Roo, Kanga, Tigger, Rabbit, etc. The plot is broad, but you have to note that this is a package film. And it's really good for a package film. Really, really good. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is not often regarded as one of the best animated Disney movies, but it introduced one of the most iconic Disney characters. This is a character-driven film that has a cast full of memorable characters. This is intelligent, delightful, and affectionate. I always enjoy rewatching this movie. This is one of the few Disney films that I enjoy now just as much as I did when I was a kid. It takes me back to a simpler time, and I'm always ready for the ride. Thank you guys for watching the video, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. In my next video, or in one of my upcoming videos, I will be doing the Disney Renaissance. That'll be a fun one to rank, as almost all of them are really good films. So thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.